Ladies and gentlemen, the Raptors are on a roll in the late season. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk Raptors. I'm your host, Shisham, my channel where you get reviews, analysis, predictions, and hot takes on all things Raptors as well as some NBA. So, the Raptors played the Minnesota Timberwolves today, one game on top of the Cleveland Cavaliers in the standings, and one game behind Chicago Bulls. Before I get into the game, let me clear this out. So, a lot of people thought in my last video when we played the Boston Celtics, I didn't give the Boston Celtics enough credit for what they're doing. I am giving them credit, but there are things that are realistically contributing to them winning. And one is that they're getting tiki-taka fouls on all of their, pretty much most of their games, which is allowing them to play physical defense, but other teams are not being allowed to do that. Especially when you're shooting 20 free throws on average in for the season, and you're in the top three, right? And I did give them credit that Jason Tatum has taken the next step, but losing Robert Williams, who was the main pick and roll guy, main defensive guy, blocking shots, he was able to defend the perimeter as a center. I don't trust the Boston Celtics, and I never, I won't do that. Would I pick them out coming out of the East? Hell no. So that was my take on them. If you didn't like it, too bad. So without a further ado, let's talk Raptors versus Minnesota Timberwolves. So the Raptors came out in this game kind of like the Boston game, where they're sluggish, slow in the start, not really having rhythm. And, the Minnesota Timberwolves come out like a team who's lost 3 of the last 4, and a team that's trying to fight there for this spot in the Western Conference, right, to keep it. So the Raptors kind of fall behind. We lose that quarter. I think we were down by 17. Oh, no, we lost that quarter by 10 points. And by the mid-second quarter, the Minnesota Timberwolves had a 17-point lead, even with 11 turnovers, which kept the Raptors, within that range. But the Raptors weren't playing well. Pascal had 0 points. Freddie was looking like the same thing, that his knee is bugging him. And the only person that had it going was Gary Trent Jr. at that time. And then, Nick Nurse plugs Precious Achiuwa in after a while. And it just explodes for the Raptors. The kid comes out. He nails three-pointer after three-pointer after three-pointer, which get, cursively down. And then OG wakes up. OG goes 3 for 3 from the 3 and gets a two-handed slam off of a turnover and brings the Raptor down by 2. Then, it's back and forth. And then basically the Raptors are down by 1 with about 3 seconds left on the clock. Spicy P gets to the bucket. He's not having a good game in regards to his scoring, but I'll get into what exactly he did in this game that made him the MVP. He passes it to Freddie at the buzzer, going into the halftime, nails a three-pointer, puts us up by 2, and the Raptors did not look back after that. The Raptors come out in the third quarter and just blow the game open. And the Raptors win this game by, I think it's 23 points. I didn't check the scorecard after, the game finished. It's been a while. Anyways, and there were highlight plays. There was this one play where, OG Thaddeus Young comes off of this, I think who was defending him, Vanderbilt, and just veteran one hand, left arm slam in their face by the time we were up by like 22 points. And then there was this one pass where Freddie, gets into the bucket. Right underneath the bucket, he can go for a reverse layup, but he, tosses it down to Spicy P, and Spicy P just jams a two-hand slam right in Minnesota's face. And that was pretty much over. This game was over. I think there were like 5 minutes of garbage time in this one. So it tells you that the Raptors blew it open. Now, the way the Raptors started, you expected this game not to go their way. Especially, I thought it was going to be one of those games, late in the season where you just don't have it. But the Raptors kind of pulled it out, man. And that's my first key takeaway, guys. It seems like no matter what happens to the Raptors at the start, this group does not give up right away. And I've been saying that this is a resilient team, but now they have learned not to just get close enough to lose that game, but instead take the step forward and actually go end up winning that game. And that's what they've done. They did that against Boston. They did that against Minnesota today. They've done that in the past against Phoenix, against Denver. So the Raptors have been that team where their young guys, young veteran, you could say Pascal and Freddie have learned or taught the rest of the guys that, hey, if we're down by 20 points, that doesn't mean shit. It's not our job to get it close enough that we lose respectively, but it's our job to go out and if you want to lose by 1 point or 2 points, or go out and win it. We're not losing by 5 points just to make it look respectable and all that bull crap. And I trust this team going down deep into the playoffs, especially because of what they're doing against good teams. Minnesota is not a joke anymore. They're well coached and they're doing things properly. And Carla Anthony Towns is playing like a monster, and we did a good defensive job against him today. The second key takeaway I have, guys, for you is that this team's energy not only comes from Chris Boucher and Preston Chua, but it seems like it comes from Freddie Van Vliet. Boston game, Freddie didn't seem like himself. Whenever he had started going, the team started going. Today, same thing. Freddie came out. He didn't seem like it seemed like he was going to be struggling with his knee again, and the team didn't have it in the start. And then, by mid second quarter, Freddie just started going into it. He started dribbling the ball, getting to the net, playing defense with more energy, and that lifted everybody else up. Pascal was still trying his best to do everything he possibly could, but he can only do so much, right? And then it seems like as soon as Freddie gets into the game, everybody else does too. And that's where I've been very, very adamant that Nick Nurse needs to find some way of resting Freddie Van Vliet going into the play-in, playoff, whatever the hell it's going to be. And Gary Trent Jr. looked good, especially because, Pascal fed him the ball and Freddie fed him the ball, and he, kind of ate off of the energy that Freddie brought in. So did OG Anunoby. So it's very important for Freddie to be healthy and, feeling good when he's on the floor because guys look up to him. The third key takeaway I have for you guys is kind of ties into my second one, is that the Raptors are now sitting at the 6th spot, one game tied with Chicago Bulls for the 5th spot, with a better schedule in regards to easier schedule than Chicago Bulls coming up. And honestly, we took 2 games. We're 2 games ahead of Cleveland Cavaliers. And I think the Raptors need to make sure everything they can possibly do to remain in the 6th spot or to get to the 5th spot. Because what that would allow us to do is to be able to rest the guys who've been injured or coming off of injury, or the guys that need some sort of rest because they're dealing with some sort of knicky-knack type of shit with their body, kind of like Freddie Van Vliet, because the play-in tournament would give you 3 or 4 days of constant rest until you do have to play a game, right? And that's something that the Raptors should strive for. We got a game coming up against Orlando. I think we can win that without Freddie Van Vliet, especially the way the rest of the guys are playing. And I think that should be a priority, giving him a little bit of rest. And then same thing, when we get closer to the playoff, if you stick to the 5th or the 6th spot, we should be able to rest Freddie Van Vliet and have him at least 90% coming into the playoffs, which would be very, very good for us. The last key takeaway I have for you guys is that the Raptors' half-court offense has improved considerably. Whatever, fuck it. And it seems like they're not just playing iso ball anymore. They're not afraid of getting contact when they're getting into the paint, and they're running plays more smartly. And that has to do with the guys knowing each other, trusting each other, having shooters spacing the floor. And I'm starting to trust the Raptors' half-court offense a lot more, and gives me more confidence for us to be to do well in the playoffs, because that's when the game slows down. The defense is more concentrated on everybody, and you need to be able to play half court. And it seems like Pascal, with his passing abilities, improving. Same thing with Freddie getting to the bucket. His dribbles getting better. Same thing with OG Anunoby, is giving us more ability to be able to play that half court. There's better screens being set. There's double screens being set to open up shooters like Gary Trent or Freddie Van Vliet. There's more post play coming in with OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam. There's more downhill play for Pascal coming in, even from the half court line, where he's holding the ball for at least 2-3 seconds at the top of the half court, and then going downhill and then passing it out or getting to the rim. And it seems and same thing with Scotty Barnes, him finishing underneath the net and stuff like that. Even though today he didn't really have it, it seemed like it was one of his rookie games, but he does provide that for us in our half-court offense. So I'm really feeling the Raptors' half-court offense has improved a lot. We're not just a transition team anymore. Yes, we will. It's not as good as our transition, but it's far, far better than what we had previously and what we had at the start of the season. And it gives you confidence that, even if we have to slow down in the playoffs, we'll still be able to make buckets, especially given the type of defense we make. So games, will be close, but I won't be as nervous as I would have been in the start of the season. The last thing I have for you guys is MVP. I know people are going to look at Pascal's scorecard and they're going to be like, what the hell, man? He didn't score much points today. But he did everything else today, man. He passed the shit out of that ball today. And that's why Gary Trent Jr. had 29 points. OG Anunoby had 22 points. He had 13 assists, 10 rebounds, and 10 points. And Pascal did everything. He played a round game because he didn't have it going offensively. The teams were, Minnesota was doubling him, tripling him, doing everything they could possibly do to stop this guy, knowing that he was coming off a 40-point game. And he did everything else to get everybody involved, and it's good to see that. And that's why he gets MVP, because him getting the other guys involved when he doesn't have it going shows growth. Because before, Pascal, like in the bubble, he would get frustrated, he would just continue to do ISO and try to finish at the rim. He's not doing it anymore, and that shows that he's taking the next step in his game. So that's all I have for you guys for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. Please hit that like and subscribe button. My last video actually got 700 hits. I am enjoying that. Thank you guys. It makes me know that you guys are loving what I'm putting out there. And hopefully it continues. And I will see you guys after the next game, hopefully.